Hello fellow gamers, Lukey P Gaming here, and welcome to episode 2 of my Supreme Ruler Ultimate series. So episode 1 is being uploaded to YouTube at the moment. I'll be honest, I had planned to upload it, see if anybody commented on anything to improve or change, and then adapt in episode 2, but you know what it's like. You get started on the game and you want to keep playing, so that's what I intend to do. So we've not done much since the last episode, so you get to see a bit of setting up the economy here, of playing the first day, and of adapting the economy to cope with what's going on. So I'm going to switch that to fastest. We're just going to pause it there. First thing I want to do is I actually want to put all of my units into reserve, which you do just by clicking and dragging, scrolling down to reserve, and then you click that little button to actually give the orders. That's probably a more efficient way to do it, which is like that. And click over most of the country. Care about the weather effects. Okay, and that will send all the units, so if they're air units they go to the nearest air base, and if they're ground units they go to the nearest barracks. We do want to be building, and we wanted to be building engineers, but we don't actually have that build template yet, so that's probably one of the first things we will trade with a friendly nation for. Let's just set up the economy. So this we're going to set to 55 because we do want to sell it. We will sell 100% of surplus production. This as well for now. Later on we'll start stockpiling rubber, but we don't want to do that just yet. Timber, that is actually going to make us not any money really, so $3 to produce, $3 to sell. So what I'll probably do in the interests of not overheating the economy is I will set this to say 112% of demand and see how that goes. We have a look at how many timber factories we've got, and given how inefficient those are likely to be, so if I look here at this first lot, 7% efficiency, I'm getting 7% of the output from that I should do. So let's put all of those to 0. So put all of them offline, which you do by going there and then clicking on that, and we'll see how we're doing after the first day as to whether we've got sufficient output or not. We'll leave it at 100% capacity and see what that does. Same with petroleum. Put it down to 7. We want to sell 90% of our excess production. You can see we've got a massive stock of that. We'll be looking to trade that away in due course to increase our money to invest in the economy. But for now, as you can see here, the selling conditions are unfavourable, so we're going to be selling it at $7 per barrel. You'll probably get a better deal than that off trading with a lot of countries directly. Coal, well, if we could make any, that would be amazing. We set it to sell 0 surplus production because when we start getting it, we want to start stockpiling that. That'll be down the road. Metal ore, yeah, we want to sell that for now. 100% of surplus production, yeah, that's fine with electricity because you can't really stockpile it properly. Consumer goods, if we had, and then we want to set it for 20% because you can normally get quite good prices for that. Industrial goods sell 0%. Why do we do that? This is the thing, you need to build everything. So for example, if I go down to the capital over here, if I wanted to build something, which you do by right clicking, going to build and choosing, let's say, industrial. If I wanted to build an agricultural plant, you see that's 1,450 tons of industrial goods. Now you may think, okay, well, you've got 58,000, that's a lot. Well, actually, then look at that. One consumer goods plant is 35,000. If I wanted to build an industrial goods plant, that's 18,000. If I want to build some power plants to start sorting out my power shortage, that's 16,000. So very quickly you will eat into what you can actually do. And military goods. So what we want to do with military goods is they cost a fair amount to make, and they're not actually going to help us right now. So what we're going to do is, if you want to sell 0% of surplus production, and we actually want to turn industrial output down to 0% of capacity. Actually, there's an easier way to do this, so we'll put it back up to 100, because the way we're going to do it is we're just going to turn off all our military goods, and that way it'll remind me in future, if I turn it back on, I won't have to remember to go back into the output menu and put it back up to 100, because I've left it on 100. So that will save us a bit of production money there. And the reason we want to save production money is because we're not actually going to be using many military goods. So 670. I mean, we might have to turn it back on if we intend to build some units, but that is a couple of days down the road. Let's have a look at imports of things. Okay, that's fine. So here's something which is interesting. So buyers needed up to 2,282. If I look at what I'm selling them for, I'm selling them for 3,663. So that's fine. So in my mind, as long as I'm importing them for less than that, if I'm meeting the demand of my population, I am going to make money there. Electric power. And this is where your economy can stall, so let's put that up to 25, so just in case there's a spike in prices. Uranium it's kind of not really going to be used for a long time yet. Metal ore imports, yeah, that's fine, up to 44. And the reason you want to import that is because you see all these are dependent on it. So if I run out of metal, it's going to stall my consumer goods, which makes me money, and my industrial goods, which is needed for building and actually feeds consumer goods. So I think that's probably enough for the first day. So let's play through. I'm not going to do any research just yet, and we will see what our budget looks like after day one. Okay, so you see we went up a fair amount. So yeah, our daily income, that means it's on a downward trend, which you'd expect because I put taxes up a little bit. Daily expenses, okay, it's probably gone down because I've dropped some production somewhere. My last day trades. So we only exported timber, petroleum and rubber, and I was expecting to export a lot of agriculture, so let's see what happened there. So we are marginally so this sometimes happens, there are often grades within the $55 range, so I am at the, let's see if I can actually get it so you can see it move, and no, you can't. You just have to take my word for it. There are grades within the $55 range sometimes, and sometimes it happens that actually the price moves and it doesn't quite trigger the sale. So let's just drop that down to 52. the reason we're doing that is because at this stage we just want to be getting the money in. We're not too bothered about profit margins. Later on we'll look at that. So we can see we did okay on that first day. We made enough money. What we're going to look to go and do is to find someone friendly to trade with. If they like us a bit. So this tells you what people's opinions are of you. So generally everyone's going to start as neutral, I think. Even Germany, just before the outbreak of the war. So everyone will start as neutral, but in due course countries will decide if they like you or not. So let's have a look at the UK here, number one of the more advanced nations. Sorry, I should explain what I've just done there. So I click on the country. It brings up these options as to what you want to do. I want to make a diplomatic offer. You can have a look here at the existing agreements you've got. You can propose new agreements. You can propose to trade resources, which we may try in a minute. You can propose to trade technologies, so you could ask them for a specific technology and see how much they want for it. So they want 182 million for that, but we're not too fussed about actually getting that technology. And then over here they've got units. Now what we want for now, I prefer mounted engineers because they move around a lot quicker, but in the absence of that we want an engineer unit. So how much can we get for an engineer unit? They want 2 million for that, and that little button there says best offer, so that's the best offer I can make, which they'll accept. That normally does get you the deal. Sometimes they change their minds in between, so we make that offer, and the reason we make that is the engineers will help us build stuff more quickly, which is important. I'm just going to turn off, I don't like that having population, and I want to see a bit more about my supply, I think, rather than where I own at the moment. So let's go and try and sell some of our oil to people who may need it. Top importers: Netherlands, French Syria, United Kingdom, China, Italy. So you see Netherlands, they may have traded in some that day, but actually they don't really need it that desperately. Whereas if you look at United Kingdom, China, you can see the difference between their production and demand is quite extensive. So let's have a look at China. Yeah, so the problem with China is they've got a massive stockpile. So here you've got blue is how much you can produce, red is your demand, and green is your stockpile. So you see it's 612 million barrels of oil. They've got loads. So if you look at mine, I'm only got 51 million, so I've got loads to sell in my mind. They've got 12 times that sitting in stock. So if I try to sell them, let's say 10 million barrels ish, so that's worth 64 million on the market, they would give me 66 million for that, which isn't bad. So it's a little bit higher than the market price, so that's not too shabby. So that's better than selling it on the market. But let's have a look around and see if we can get a better deal elsewhere. So let's have a look at the United Kingdom. So they also have a pretty large stock. If I offer to sell them about 10 million, you see they offer me 86 million, which is probably a function of them. It's not a function of them having more money. I don't know why, but the UK always seems to be quite friendly towards Brazil on this game. I always seem to end up being friends with them, which I like because I'm from London. Let's see about America. Okay, I didn't quite do like for like. I meant to do 10 million rather than barrels rather than 100 million, but you can see they're no real different from China. So let's just try a few more of the big countries. So Italy, we saw, had a bit of a deficit. so we're comparing like for like. So Italy, you see, they don't really care for this at all, which is because they haven't got very much money to pay out, which limits the amount you get paid for something. So I could sell this amount for 64 million on the open market, and Italy's best offer they give me for it is 38 million. So we definitely don't want to be trading with them at the moment. Let's have a look at Germany, notoriously short of oil in this period. At least in terms of production capabilities, it's part of the reason, for any of you who are history buffs, Hitler at one point in his invasion into Russia swang southwards to take some oil fields in the Caucasus, and a lot of people credit that with slowing the drive towards Moscow and being a mistake during World War II, because Germany was short of oil. So that could be an interesting deal as well, if I can get over my aversion to doing any kind of deal whatsoever with Nazi Germany. On this game I tend to like to just act as a bit neutral rather than have to pick sides. Now this is interesting, so this is an interesting thing to put out. So I've gone with 100 million to see if I can get more out of the UK, and in fact they've only offered me 86 million. What that means is that the most they're willing to spend on oil at the moment is 86 million. So I can drop it down here, and you see I'm still getting 86 million, and sometimes you drop it even further, 76. So somewhere between those two levels is the optimum amount, which will still get me 86 million. So I tend to play around a little bit. That one I think might be a little bit more. So maybe I lucked out and happened to hit the optimum level before. There you are. You see it's marginally less than it was before, 100,000 or so barrels less, but I've still got 86 million. Now sometimes if you offer them right on the line, they then reject your offer, which is a risky run. At this stage I'm prepared to run that risk, so let's make that offer to the UK. Germany, so they're offering me 84 million. Let's see if I offer them a whole lot more, I still get 84 million, so they're probably in a similar boat to the UK. Let's just see, 80 million. 84 million, so that will do. Offer appears very acceptable. That's good. We'll sell that to you. And how much oil will we have left then? Probably about 30 million barrels. So we'll hang on to that for now, and we will play through our second day. So this just tells me diplomatic exchanges have been successful. So the UK and Germany have both accepted my offers, which is very good, and it means that up here our bank balance has gone up quite a lot. So we get to the point where we want to start thinking about what we want to invest in building. So what I probably want to invest in first is power. Now, coal, you'll see here, I could produce it for 6, I think. Well, it says that, but of course I've got no production facilities to actually test it. Or I could import it for 6. So what I'm going to do for now is I think I'm going to focus on building some electric power plants. But first we're just going to have a look and see what production is like in our capital. What supply is like in our capital. So 41%. Let's play through another day. And that and gone up to 42%. So that alarm means that there's some kind of world event happening. So you can see here, Germany reoccupies the Rhineland. Italy's gone to war with Ethiopia. and various countries have come back from exile, and the UK has denied aid to France. All very interesting. If you're in Europe, not particularly interesting for us, so we'll clear those down. We've got a research recommendation. I'm going to disagree with that for now. The worldwide alert level has increased based on the current tensions. That was what I think that alarm, which made me jump a little bit, was for. And these are just some tips. So I already know that. Thank you very much. So we should look at building something potentially. So what we normally do to start with is we'll look to build around the capital because it's got better supply. So I think we may look at that village there. Actually, just because it's called Petropolis. Well, actually, we're not building. I thought it might be quite fun to build oil power plants in a place called Petro, but we're going to be building coal power plants. So let's just give an example of what we want to think about here. So we've got a coal mine. It's going to cost us 21 million to build. That should be all right if we were building a coal mine, but we're not. We're building a coal power plant, which is also 21 million. And it's going to take 16,000 industrial goods, and we have got a spare 16,000 industrial goods, and we don't need to worry because we're producing marginally more than we're getting, which means we don't have to worry about running out of this anytime soon. So what will happen is we will hit build a coal power plant here. And then it tells us construction has begun, which is great. We will move our engineer up to there. See if we can find our second engineer swanning around somewhere. We can. So one there, one over there by Sao Paulo. So let's move him over to here as well. Yes, there's more excitement. I might just turn the volume down on that. It is quite loud. No, stop bugging me about research recommendations, please. Oh good, the UK have accepted our offer for engineer units, the design template, which means we can go down here and we can now start building engineers. So I want to build 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason is that engineers tend to work in groups of 6. You can put 6 on one tile, and I've got 2 already. And actually, while we're at it, let's build a second stack of 6. So let's put it up to 10. And we will group them, and we will use them to help speed up our construction as things go on. Now incidentally, since we've started constructing something, now we're running a big deficit on industrial goods because we are using 193 tons for construction as well as the 352 we were using for consumer goods. That's fine because we're just eating into our stockpile, which is what we intended to do. So this little blue thing here means there's an opportunity, which means the market conditions are quite favourable. That's great news, but actually we can't really ramp up production of rubber to exploit it. We're producing as much as we can right now without fixing our supply problems or building more rubber plants. Let's just have a look at the last day's trading, which was here. So you can see agriculture, having corrected that the previous day so that our export price was better set, we're doing a bit better now, so we've started selling it. So let's continue on. Let's just tell this engineer we want to start construction. these units here appear to have decided they can ignore my order to go to reserves, so let's give them it again. And they should move up there. There you go. To go into reserves. Let's see if any of the other ones haven't managed to obey that order. You haven't. I'm really not sure why they aren't going into reserves actually. Let's try moving them. And now try putting them into reserves. Nope. Okay, so we're going to have to manually find the nearest barracks. At this stage we aren't likely to get into a war, so it doesn't really matter where they are. Fine, we'll have to ship them down there and they're going to the nearest barracks. So the engineer's still moving over. We are still making quite good money. Paraguay has formed the first fascist regime in the Americas. So they're on our border, I believe. Yep, so there you are. You can see them, and they've now got a little. If you can see, let me just click that so it removes that little thing. You can see their capital has gone light pink, which means they are now leaning axis. So that just tells you a little bit about the political alliances going on. Okay, now we are not doing much at the moment. We are making money. We are doing very well on our oil. We're not really selling all of it at the moment, but we're doing pretty well. And our supply is pretty dire. And the reason it's pretty dire is because our infrastructure is pretty dire. So you can see that's going up a bit day by day. So it was 41% when we first looked at it. That is because we put the budget up for our infrastructure spending on the first day. So we give that a little bit of a while to take effect before we decide what else we need to build around here. Generally, to get to 100, you need a capital city and an air base, or if you're not near a big city, you need on reasonable levels of infrastructure spending, you need an air base or a seaport and 2 supply depots, and that will get you to about 100. So let's just play that for a few more days. Yeah, we're still making 15 million a day, and these units keep deploying themselves, so we'll keep on sending them back to reserves to save a little bit of money. This guy now is here. We want to tell him to help with construction, so we give orders to him to help construct. And what that means is, I don't know if it'll show here, but you can see it's got 73 days remaining. If I let it tick over a day, 72, because we haven't got enough there. But often when you have 6 there, it will do 4 or so days at a time. And actually, while we've got enough industrial goods, we've got adequate money, and so in the interest of being efficient, we will build a second one there. And we'll see what that does to our income. So we're still going up by 10 million-ish a day. So can we actually afford to build a third one there? So I think we had about 60,000 industrial goods when we started. These cost 16,000 each. I built 2, which will cost me 32,000 industrial goods. If I build another one, it's going to take me up to 48, which will use most of our industrial goods, which is fine for now. So that'll be alright. We should still be making money. We are. We've got our next engineer coming down. I'm just going to slow this because it's going pretty darn quick. Okay, that's fine. Let's keep going quickly then, because we can always pause it. Yeah, so we're doing well on the money making, probably because we haven't started any research yet. We've still got these guys wandering around aimlessly. If anybody knows how to stop them doing that, do let me know in the comments. Okay, time for a bit more trading. It's been a few days. We got 32 million still. Let's go and see if London wants any more oil. So we offered them about 10 million last time. Okay, they give me 80 million for that. Is that their top offer? No, it's not. So I wonder where their top offer is. 132 million. 144 million. Okay, so we don't want to sell it all to one country, because doing deals with countries helps make them friendly, which gets you better deals in the future. So I can sell 15 million barrels of oil, which gets me 118 million from the UK. If I sell it to Germany, 15 million gets me 122 million. So they're both pretty good, and I can actually afford, because you see I've got 32 million, I can afford to sell my oil to both of them. So that is what I'm going to do actually, and yes, it clears us out of our stockpile, and part of me wants to wait and see if the price goes up further, but let's do that. We got on good terms with them, hopefully over time, and get even better offers. So we've still got 2 million oil left in reserve. What I'm going to start doing now is, because I now know I can sell more, so if you think I was selling what, 80-ish million of oil for 120-ish million income, so I know I can sell it for about a 50% markup. The stock market's only given me what, 32%. So actually what I want to do here is I want to say, actually I don't want to play on the public market, and if I did, I'd only probably be playing at, you know, that kind of level. So what I do is I will whack this way down to like 10%, just in the interest of, you know, if it does go up to $8, then great, we'll sell some of the stuff we're making now for $6. But if not, we will start stockpiling it, because we're stockpiling about 100,000 barrels a day, and we can sell that to the UK or Germany for more profit than we can sell it for on the daily market. What that does mean is, if you have a look here, so I hadn't sold any of it yesterday. Okay, it's not going to affect our income. If we had been selling it, that would then disappear, which would mean in theory we'd be running less of a surplus each day, but it's an investment in the future in effect by holding stuff back. So our units have arrived down there, so we'll stick them in reserves. Okay, so already, having only really feel like I'm just getting going, we are out of time. So we've done a bit in that video. We've started to play the markets. We've gone from about 124 million up to 777. We'll probably look next episode to buy in some industry goods to start getting a stockpile to build stuff with, see if we can do that at a decent price, and we will see where we go from there. So do let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, if you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, and yeah, if you like this video, please do like it or subscribe to my channel. Any feedback and interaction is really encouraging and just helps me to know what you guys are thinking. So I'm Lukey P, thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon.